Welcome to another episode of President to President. When most people think about Mastercard, they think about a credit card company, but today's guest describes it as a global technology company in the payments industry, powering the digital economy. It is my pleasure to introduce Sasha Krstic, President of Mastercard Canada, to tell us more about her role in making Mastercard the world's best payments technology company. We are extremely fortunate to have some of Sasha's precious time. Not only is she the president of Mastercard Canada, but also the mother of a 16-month-old toddler and the wife of a long-haul trucker who has been on the front lines during COVID, carrying food and goods across the border for us. So, welcome, Sasha. Why don't you begin by telling us more about Mastercard's Canadian operation?
Of course, we're headquartered here in Toronto and have been for a number of years operating our traditional business in partnership with financial institutions, acquirers, retailers, government to run our, as you would have said earlier, our credit and our debit business. But in the last couple of years, I'm really thrilled that Mastercard as a global company has invested in Canada with two specific acquisitions around security and fraud safety. And so in 2017, we purchased a company called NuData in Vancouver that we have now translated into an intelligence and cyber center. And in 2019, we purchased a company here in Toronto called Ethica, focused on chargeback processing. The reason I'm excited about having those companies part of our Canadian suite in addition to our core business is because those companies are focused on building solutions that Mastercard and our partners will leverage around the world. And that means top Canadian technology talent is building solutions that will be leveraged globally. I think that's an amazing accomplishment for Canada. I couldn't be more thrilled that it's happening with Mastercard.
Sasha, you started with Mastercard Canada in 2004 and enjoyed a dozen years before getting international experience. And then you returned to Canada in August 2019 as president. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
But with that perspective, how is Canada different from the rest of the world in terms of payment industry and attitudes towards business in general?
Well, I think, Fawn, it's really clear to see that the COVID pandemic around the world has increased everyone's focus on digitization and the importance of building a digital economy that is accessible to all, whether that's e-commerce, health services, other services to make lives easier in the situation we're in. And Canada has been, at the forefront of the digital economy for many years with the early adoption of EMV and chip technology, contactless. But I think it's clear, and my observation would be we still have a ways to go. One example of that is we're seeing the demand for real-time payments increase around the world. And to date, over 60 countries globally are implementing real-time payment system. With our VocaLink capabilities, we're enabling that in countries such as the UK, Thailand, Singapore. In the Nordics, we're partnering with P27 to be building the first multi-currency cross-border payment system in the world. And I'm really excited that we're going to be bringing that digital technology capability to Canada by partnering with Payments Canada to build the real-time rail, which will enable consumers and businesses in Canada to send and receive money 24/7, 365 days a year with rich data capabilities associated with it. That's a huge shift in Canadian payments that's coming on the horizon, and we couldn't be more pleased to be part of it.
It's amazing. So what is your mandate and how do you measure success?
So again, we're focused on giving our consumers and our partners choice. And I would measure our success by, are we taking advantage of the global assets that Mastercard has, bringing them into Canada to enable our partners to leverage those technology assets? Again, whether that's part of our core credit card and debit card systems, whether that's part of our multi-rail payments capabilities, our consulting, our cybersecurity, our data analytics, our loyalty assets. I would measure success if we're bringing those to the Canadian market to advance innovation. And secondly, I would measure success by ensuring that our employees are feeling like they're contributing to something that is making a positive impact in Canadian society.
That's great. Now, you've just really told us through your acquisitions that security, data, and networks are at the heart of your operation. So when you look at the top cybersecurity threats today, what are you seeing? I mean, what can organizations do to protect themselves from what you're seeing in today's digital world?
We process 75 billion transactions on 2.5 billion cards every year. So that focus on safety and security has always been there. We're now expanding that to think about what are the other security threats. And to your specific question, Fawn, what we're seeing is the importance of understanding supply chain and what are the third-party connections that you have in your company. We know that partnerships, working with other companies, is becoming increasingly important, and as a result, companies are exposing themselves to more and more cyber threats. So we've been very focused on offering our risk recon capability to small businesses across Canada to enable them to not only survive in the pandemic, but also thrive and do it safely.
So, Sasha, if you don't mind, because our audience is fascinated and also practitioners within AI, I'd love to know what Mastercard is doing around that application in your systems and just in general.
Sure. So we're focused on using AI in two specific ways, one on the inside and one on services and products that we develop for our outside Canadian partners. On the inside, within Mastercard, we've been leveraging AI for years to improve our fraud models, to help with forecasting from a finance perspective, even leveraging across our HR function. So we're really living what we preach by applying AI and machine learning to our own systems. When we think about the products and solutions that we're building, if I take the risk recon example, that is all about leveraging AI so that businesses can understand who are the third-party risks that might be trying to access their systems. Are users legitimate? And how do they make sure that they're enabling the right partnerships and the right people to access their systems?
As a female leader in technology, is the fintech space an exciting space to be in for a woman?
Without question. And there's so many reasons why fintech is important. One, it is creating an opportunity to bring new solutions to the industry. And of course, we know that new solutions will be more valuable and have greater impact when they are inclusive and diverse. And so having women in fintech develop some of those solutions is really critical. I also think we acknowledge that the fintech community and the technology community as a whole hasn't always been as inclusive with respect to gender and other characteristics. And so we're really proud to be focused on bringing inclusivity to the technology community through our Girls for Tech program, which is enabling young girls from ages 8 to 12 to have access to insights and learn about the value and the cool part about being a STEM scientist, technologist, and hopefully then encourage them to create future careers out of that. There is no question that women play an important role in fintech. They are 50% of the global community. They should be at least 50% of the fintech community.
Totally agree. So one part of the conference is a discussion around crypto and blockchain. How is Mastercard embracing these options, and how do you see them growing in the long term?
Sure. So those are two very important topics, and let me take them separately. So blockchain, we've been testing and learning and expanding and leveraging blockchain for years. In fact, it was decades ago that we put our first blockchain patent. We've got 85 patents on blockchain already in place, with over 200 still pending. So we recognize the importance of blockchain in terms of fundamentally revolutionizing the baseline technology that many industries are built on. Secondly, with respect to cryptocurrency, we've also been exploring cryptocurrency, and our focus on cryptocurrency is on making principled decisions around: does it solve a real problem? Is it safe and secure? Is it full of data integrity? And can it meet consumer and business needs?
Interesting. So e-commerce became a lifeline for many businesses during the pandemic. I mean, a great example was Lint. When Easter came and they weren't even online, and in 6 weeks they got online and they had their best Easter sales ever, which was incredible. So how did it change the payments industry, and are the changes permanent in your mind?
There is no question that the pandemic has driven everybody online for purchasing, whether it's businesses trying to figure out how to sell online, consumers trying to access more goods online in the presence of lockdowns. Globally, we have seen the pandemic drive $900 billion more on e-commerce spend. So from a Canadian perspective, we see about 13% of e-commerce spend increased over what we're seeing in 2019. And so our view is that there will be elements of that will stick. And so our view as a technology company would be, how do we make sure that the payments technology available to businesses to enable them to connect with their consumers is truly omni-channel? It can be seamless between the consumer experience in store and the consumer experience online.
Now we get to the most favorite part of this interview. What's your leadership style?
So I would say my leadership style is one based on listening. I think to use the old expression, there is a reason we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. And the reason that's important to me personally is because that's how I collect perspective.
Now, besides your family and your 16-month child, what are you passionate about outside work?
I would love to have travel. I think everyone is looking forward to traveling again. I would say I'm a reader, although I have to say falling into bed exhausted these days with the toddler means there's not quite as much time for reading. But I do love a good book to unwind at the end of the day.
So what's the most important lesson you've learned in your career to date?
I started my career as, very much believing there was a Sasha that came to work and a Sasha that lived outside of work. And it's exhausting to separate those two. When in fact, when I bring my whole self to work every day, I hope that my team members, my colleagues, will see themselves reflected in the fact that everyone has good days, bad days. Everyone has pressures at home and at work. And when we're able to articulate and share those, we all can rally around each other and rally around the work that we need to do and get it done.
Thank you so much for sharing, Sasha. This has been a great interview, and I greatly appreciate it.
It was a pleasure, fun. I look forward to the day when we can do it in person over some darts as well.
Absolutely.